let me start by saying that Mr. Murali Krishnan, he is an engineer by profession. He is a certified NLP practitioner. He's a certified life coach. He's a certified maintenance and reliability professional from SMRP USA. He is also a very active Toastmaster. The mind behind Mind Academy, I would say. Let us hear from our very own founder director of Mind Academy, Mr. Murali Krishnan. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Vijita, for that wonderful introduction. Wishing you all a very happy Diwali. Children must be taught how to think, not what to think. I repeat, children must be taught how to think and not what to think. Our chief guest, Lieutenant General Syed Hasnain sir, respected dignitaries, my dear lovely children, good afternoon, good evening, and good morning to all of you joining from different parts of the world. And first of all, let me take this opportunity to welcome you all to this edition of Mind Guru. And thank you so very much for joining all of us here with this session of Mind Academy. Let me repeat again. Those were the great words of American anthropologist Margaret Mead. Children must be taught how to think and not what to think. And this is exactly what Mind Academy or Mind Guru stand for. We are in the process of empowering the next generation move in the right direction with this program called Mind Guru, where we run a holistic transformation program where children are exposed into different facets of life, which are really in gel with their life, like health, wealth, relationship, goals, self-development, and all those things, which helps them understand different parts of, with different facets of their life and move ahead in their journey. Today, as we go ahead with this session, where we have with us one of the celebrities, Lieutenant General Syed Hasnain sir, to take us through exactly what we were dealing with, like the holistic transformation from different facets of life. We are so happy that it's indeed a dream come true moment for all of us here at Mind Academy, sir. Thank you so very much for joining us in this session. And with that note, I know that all of you are eagerly waiting for him to speak few words to take us through his inspirational session. So I'll not be taking much time. I once again take this opportunity to welcome you all to this session and thank you all for joining us from different parts of the world. Over to you, Madam Vijita.
Thank you so much, sir, for your nice words. Now, let us hear from the co-founder of Mind Academy, Mr. Balasubramaniam. Mr. Balasubramaniam is an electronics and instrumentation engineer by profession and a sportsman by spirit. He was a professional hockey player who played at the state level tournaments too in the past. He is an aspiring sports coach. He is interested in strategic studies for sports and foreign affairs. Please help me welcome Mr. Balasubramaniam. Over to Mr. Balasubramaniam.
Thank you, Vijita ma'am, for those kind and positive words with respect to me. Thank you. It's indeed an honor and pleasure. As they say, places don't grace men, men do grace place. We have one such stalwart in our midst, Lieutenant General Syed Hasnain sir. Well, he has been the former general officer commanding 15 corps. He's been a proud member of Gawal units. He's the chancellor of Kashmir University, so on and so forth. But when I look up to Lieutenant General Syed Hasnain sir, there's a very striking feature which strikes deep down. There is a presentation, there is a workshop in which Syed sir says, as a leader, even at 2 in the morning, if there was a call, I used to have a strong determination that my voice should be stable, so thereby my men have proper command coming from my side. That is a lesson which has left deep striking within us, especially me. And also, when you read his articles, you can see the 4th degree, 5th degree spillover effects, which gives you a perception as an assessor how you should be perceiving things around. So with that note, we thought his experience is vast and immense, but we thought it is our privilege and pleasure to take you all through a video presentation of the journey of our chief guest for the evening, Lieutenant General Syed Hasnain sir. So with that note, I take you through a video presentation of the great man's journey so far, and it's an honor, pleasure to play that in front of you all. I believe my screen is visible to all?
Yeah, visible.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And my tenure in Kashmir as the Corps Commander, and before that as GOC of Baramulla Division, as Commander of the Uri Brigade, as Colonel GS of the Avantipur Victor Force, before that in Kargil, before that in Siachen, before that in Punch. So I have been in and out of Jammu and Kashmir all my life.
सभी लोग सराहते हैं आपकी पॉलिसीज को, और आपको कहा गया है पीपल्स जनरल, क्योंकि आपने एक स्लोगन शुरू करी थी कश्मीर में, माय हार्ट इज माय वेपन।
थिंक कि भारत में एक जो हमारी कमी है वो है हमारी समझ अबाउट नेशनल सिक्योरिटी। इसकी कुछ वजह है और इसकी कल्चरल
It's our pleasure, sir. The words are stumbling because, like, it was once a dream. Now it's happening, sir. So the virtual floor is all yours, sir. We are eagerly waiting to listen and learn from you. Over to you, Lieutenant General Syed Hasnain, sir. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Jai Hind to everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Bala Sahab. Thank you so much, Murali Sahab. Both of you have been instrumental in inviting me here. And you set the tone so beautifully, because rarely do you find someone has got the ability to get the speaker passionate even before he starts speaking. I must compliment you and congratulate you on your power of understanding of how to set an event correctly. This is a lesson, actually. And you will find that I can perhaps relate much more today, because you have just taken me through a very passionate journey of mine, or my career in the Indian Army and thereafter. It's a wonderful concept that you have started. First of all, let me compliment you. When you approached me, frankly saying, I was not expecting that it will be so good. I knew that there is something which you have got in your minds and some kind of a thing on which you want to do training and things like that. But this seems to be a very, very novel kind of a initiative, and it needs to be not stuck to where it is at the moment. It needs to flower out and go much further. And I'm sure it will in due course, and I shall always try and be at your beck and call whenever you wish me to help you to do this.
Thank you, sir.
That is why I decided at that time itself that when I speak to you, and I think I took the right decision, that I will not speak on any geopolitical subject, Ladakh and what is happening there, and Joe Biden's victory in America, and what can we expect for India in the future, Kamala Harris and things like that. No, that has its own place, very, very important. But the first time you're hearing me, I think it's much more important to speak about life in general. And in life, one of the very important aspects is how to be a good human being, how to be a good leader, which is what all of you are, the kind of leadership you're giving to society, to children. That is what is the very, very important aspect, the development of personality and things like that. So rarely do you get mentors, rarely do you get people in life who wish to hold the hands of others and take them along. You have gone along, you have achieved something in life, but you don't want to help anyone else. A lot of people don't do that. They don't help anyone else. They just think that life is meant for their achievements. But I think you've done a marvelous job by taking this initiative. It's all about mentoring. It's all about hand-holding. And I sat down today, I was thinking of making a presentation, but I said, no, let my thoughts flow. Let my thoughts flow with the environment which is created by the event itself. And you set it up wonderfully by this video, and also by reminding me and telling the public about this 2 o'clock call at night, which Bala Sahab spoke about. So let me start with that, because I think that's a very appropriate subject. And why? Today, whole day today, there has been firing on the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir. We have lost 1 BSF soldier, 3 army soldiers, and 6 civilians in different areas of the line of control. We have, of course, neutralized a lot of Pakistani soldiers on the other side. This is such an unfortunate thing which keeps happening on the other side because of what Pakistan has decided to do. I'm not speaking anything political at all, but it is these times when you need leadership. You need leadership there. On the line of control, you need leadership behind. The soldiers are there, officers are there, their commanding officers are there, their brigade commanders are there. I have been at every level there. I've been right in the bunkers in front. I've been a battalion commander with the men and the troops there. I've been a brigade commander. I've been a staff officer, been a division commander, and I've been a corps commander. So at every level, one has got the experience. This experience was put to good use at every stage. One of the very important lessons in life is when you go past an event, when you go past a stage of life, you should never forget what you learned at that stage. Because somewhere either you got a very good memory, you should tuck it into your mind somewhere, or if nothing else, then you should maintain a small diary, to maybe a page or 2 pages, to tell you what were the major lessons that you learned at that stage of your life, in those 2-3 years that you were holding a particular appointment. I did that all the time. And I kept in touch with a lot of people who were my colleagues, who were partners with me there. I never lost touch with them. For me, there was a simple mantra in life. When I establish a relationship, that relationship is for life. I don't have relationships for the moment. I don't have relationships for tenures. Relationships are for life. I make sure I maintain those relationships. And therefore, as you keep moving up the ladder in your life, you keep realizing how much you have learned. And if you have not taken note of it, then how much you have lost. That's why this 2 o'clock call at night. Let me tell you about this. At night, if I'm sleeping in my house as the senior most commander, I'm in relative comfort. I've got a big house, 6-bedroom house. I've got heaters and I've got air conditioners and I've got every comfort which the government of India can give me is there. My men on top don't have everything. They are in a very tense environment. Officers also at different levels and in different environments. At 2:30 at night in such a place like Kashmir, if someone gives you a telephone call at night, no one is going to tell you good news. No one is sending you a marriage invitation at 2 o'clock at night, right? No one is telling you that, yes, sir, your visa for America is through and your ticket is through and next morning you can leave for the United States or something. These good news don't come at 2:30 at night. At 2:30 at night, everything bad in the world comes to you. So I know when my phone, I used to always know when my phone rang that this is bad news, right? And I would pick up the phone and I would speak into it because the call did not come directly from the person. It would come through my exchange through the operator. And I would tell the operator, give me 1 minute. And the operator knew the system. So I put the phone down. And in that 1 minute, I would quickly get up. There was a flask of hot water. I would drink some water, gargle my throat, clear my throat completely, speak out a little to see that I can speak comfortably. In that 1 minute later, the call would come. And when the call came, I would speak into it and say, hello. And hello was with confidence. The message must go very clearly to the man on the other side that he's speaking to someone who is in control. He is in dire straits, that person who's calling you. He's calling you for advice. He's calling you to inform you. He's calling you to tell you that something has gone wrong, that he's trying to do something, but he would appreciate if you can tell him what exactly to do. But if he hears my voice from the inside of a razai, in which I'm tired, sleepy, and saying hello, it's not going to inspire any confidence. It's not going to inspire any confidence. I don't want my men to ever see me in a state where they find that I'm not confident. I am a senior commander. I am the one who has to ensure their safety. My directions, they are going to listen to my directions and they're going to go willingly to their death in case I direct it. To them, I owe this, that I should not speak from the depth of my bed in sheer comfort. I must make myself a little uncomfortable and ensure that I display to them that I am in complete control. This aspect will always come to you in life at various stages. People will look up to you. And if they look up to you and they have a great aura about you, they consider you in a certain glowing light, and you don't display that, then you have let yourself down. You have let your people down. You have let your parents down. You have let your lineage down. You have let everyone down simply because you were not prepared to make yourself uncomfortable for 1 minute. That's all. So that is what Bala Sahab, that is the incident. I'm very glad that you picked it out. That is the incident. And a lot of people in the Indian Army follow that. I'm not the only one. Lots and lots of people follow this principle, because it's a very important element of leadership. So let's go on to some other subjects to discuss, since I'm not talking about geopolitics, etc. I thought let my journey start, or let my talk start really with I went to the United States at a very late stage in life. I went to do a program at Hawaii at the Asia Pacific Center. It's the Asia Pacific Center for Strategic Studies. I was there for 3 months. I learned a lot from the Americans. One of the things I learned from the Americans was, which I always knew somehow, but it came to me afresh, was that without knowledge in life, without the thirst for knowledge, without the quest for knowledge, and without taking all the actions to acquire knowledge, you will bumble along in life. You will go along in life. You will lead a very nice life, maybe. You will earn a lot of money also, perhaps. You will, if you're lucky, you will. But at the end, the fulfillment that you have with knowledge will never come your way. Very interesting issue which was just brought out by, I think, Murli Saab, was this aspect that what you are doing here in this program is education. You're not training anyone, right? You're not training anyone. You're only educating people. There's a lot of difference between training and education. Training is to make you respond to situations, right? Lots of people have done the same thing before you. Those are standard operating procedures. You get to know them, you acquire them, you perfect them, and you learn how to respond based on them. But education is about the mind, where you sharpen the mind and add knowledge to the mind. And when the mind is sharp and has got knowledge, it puts everything together and innovates. It comes out with innovations. And therefore, you will find that you will never come, if you are knowledgeable, if you've got the passion and thirst for knowledge, and you will never find yourself working on past patterns. You will always look for something innovative, something new. This is a great thing I learned from the Americans. I realized that they follow this very, very avidly. And then I realized that, you know, in any profession you go, knowledge of your own profession you will know. If I'm in the army, I will know most things about the army. I'll know about weapons. I'll know all about, well, technologies for weapons. If you are in the education field, you will know a lot about education systems. If you are a chartered accountant, you'll know everything about accountancy. How much do you know outside that? That is the important aspect. So the Americans follow a concept. The American armed forces follow a concept called the scholar warrior, which means you're a warrior. You're a warrior on one hand. You learn to fight, to defeat your enemy. You know your technologies, you know your weapons, right? You know your procedures, you know your tactics, you know your doctrines. But alongside that, you know much more beyond the line on which you are moving. Right and left of it there is so much of knowledge, and you are keen to acquire that. One of the ways, for example, if a soldier is fighting in Afghanistan, let's say a soldier is fighting in Afghanistan, an Indian soldier is fighting in Kashmir, or he's fighting in the Northeast, or he was in Sri Lanka. Some years ago, I was in Sri Lanka, I remember. Can you fight in any of these areas without knowing the geography, the history, the culture, the habits of those people? If you think you can go and fight there without all that, then please go and fight there. You will lose. You will never be able to win a war if you go into a country and not learn all this. If you think you can only win by good doctrine and by good weapons and good technologies, you saw what happened to the Americans in Vietnam. You saw what happened to the Americans in Afghanistan. It took 10 years after 2000 when the Americans went to Afghanistan. In 2011, their famous commander of that time, I'm forgetting his name, General David Petraeus. General David Petraeus came out with what is called the culture cards. You know, a very, very brief, small little booklets on which he outlined some basic historical aspects and culture and sensitivities of the Kashmiri, of the Afghan people. How to deal with gender sensitivities, how to deal with religious sensitivities, how to deal with other cultural sensitivities, how to deal with food and linguistic aspects. All this was outlined in small booklets, and every soldier kept it in his pocket and read it. It took 10 years for people to realize this. 10 years. I told my soldiers in Kashmir, I told them very clearly, I said, you are very good in fighting, you're very good in shooting, You're very good with your artillery. You're very good in physical fitness. You're so good with your tactics and your doctrines. But how much do you know about these people here? And I realized people were not studying, people were not reading. So I made reading compulsory. A lot of reading people started doing. I started getting them to read about local culture. For example, on a particular day is an important festival. Let's say the Eid festival in Kashmir. Now you are in Saudi Arabia. Now, if you don't know about Eid in Saudi Arabia, how can you live in Saudi Arabia, right? You will obviously wish all your colleagues who you work with you. If you are working in a multicultural, organization somewhere, you will go to each other, help each other, whatever it is. In Kashmir, we seemed to be living in our own world at that some time. And therefore, I started encouraging. This is all about knowledge acquisition. The more knowledge you have, you will find yourself comfortable with every environment, wherever you are. A doctor can be a super specialist. But imagine a doctor who also knows about geopolitics, who also knows about history, who also knows about political science. What an amazing personality he will be. So my advice to you as people who are growing up, all of you who are mentoring your children, remember, no end to knowledge. Don't put any dampeners on knowledge. When a person is reading anything, let them read. Let them just read. For example, I started reading newspapers properly in 1965, when I was 12 years old. And in 1967, I still remember the war, the 6-day war broke out between Israel and Egypt. It was just about breaking out. A lot of coverage was coming on, and this is the last week of May 1967. I was about going to be 14 years old. And I still remember my history teacher, God bless his soul, Mr. George Abraham, his name was. He and from Kerala, also wonderful person from Kochi. And he came to class and he said, I hope you all boys are realizing that something very serious is happening in the Middle East. I perked up. What's happening in the Middle East? I had no idea. I was reading the newspaper. I could understand nothing. I could understand nothing as to what is happening. I didn't know the geography of that place. I didn't know anything about the oil and the energy in the Middle East. I had no idea about the Suez Canal and the importance of the Suez Canal. I had no idea about the Red Sea, right? And I had no idea of the Cold War and how the United States was supporting Israel and how the Soviet Union was supporting Egypt and the Arabs, and how this whole situation had come about starting from 1947-48 from the creation of Israel. No idea at all. Now, if you don't know all this, how the hell are you going to know what's happening in the Middle East? You're not going to know anything at all about it. So all of us in the class, we requested Mr. George Abraham, tell us something about it. So he drew a map on the blackboard and he started explaining to us. He explained. Next day, I went and read in the newspapers. It started making sense to me. My geopolitics of today goes back to that day. It fired my imagination. It fired my enthusiasm. Since then, I today read minimum 6 to 8 newspapers every day. Even today, hard copies of newspapers. If I'm in the car, if I'm being driven 45 minutes, I finish 2 newspapers in those 45. I don't waste a minute. 45 minutes when I'm being driven back, 2 more newspapers I will read. All the important aspects, the editorial. But I must admit to you that whenever I pick up a newspaper, the first thing I turn to is the sports page. Right? I always turn to the sports page. That's for Mr. Bala, who's also a very great hockey enthusiast. So I love hockey myself. I love hockey and I love cricket. I've been following IPL every day while it's happening in the UAE. Every single day I've seen those matches. Right? Even I may have my newspaper in my hand, I'm watching, I'm reading something else, whatever, but I love it. Now, someone who's gaining knowledge, you can ask me to go back to the scores of the 1959 series between England and India. I'll tell you many of the scores. 1959, when India visited England, I'll tell you the scores. I'll tell you the first few tests which Ajit Wadekar captained. I'll tell you. Nawab Pataudi's time, I'll tell you much about it. You see, now people laugh at me. In my own family, they laugh at me. They say, "No, why do you remember all this?" I say, it's not remembrance, it's just there. It's just there. Part of knowledge. It's great fun. And it broadens your horizon. So the long and short of it, which I want to tell you, is the concept of the scholar warrior. If it's applied to any walk of life, you are an outstanding surgeon, you're an outstanding accountant, you're an outstanding educationist, besides your field, if you have a much broader knowledge, you will be an amazing personality, a great personality to converse with, a great personality who can go anywhere with sheer confidence. Otherwise, you will feel comfortable only in your own environment. You will feel comfortable with only doctors, or you will feel comfortable with only teachers, or you will feel comfortable with only accountants. But if you are a diverse personality who is educated in that manner, you'll feel comfortable. You'll be a world citizen. And your aim in life should be to be a world citizen. That's what you should be. Not just a citizen, not just a normal citizen otherwise, but a world citizen. Let me stop at that there, because on this issue I can carry on forever. But the next aspect I want to particularly emphasize on, and you're living, all of you are living examples of it, every one of you. That is the importance of cultural diversity. You belong to a nation which has respected this in its constitution. It has respected this in its outlook. And many of you are from the faith which actually respects it the most, cultural diversity, right? I may be a Muslim, there may be some Christians, there may be some Hindus, there may be some Buddhists, but at the end of the day, we are all one nation. We are all human beings. And the ability to appreciate and understand the other's culture, the other's religion, the other's faith, and understand it to be as good as yours. That is the real acme of your true humanness, to be a human being. Let me give you one or two examples. I am a Muslim. I belong to a pure Hindu regiment, Garhwal Rifles, pure Hindu. Okay, I am the only Muslim in that unit. Right? But on a Sunday morning, when I'm commanding that unit, and on a Sunday morning we have mandir in the army, and all the soldiers are there with their families, are there singing kirtan and various bhajans. They were waiting for me. My wife and I will come to the mandir. I will come. The Panditji will receive me outside. He'll put a tika on my head, on my forehead. I'll come inside. I'll bow at the altar. I'll put some money there. I'll sit down and listen to the Panditji. We will all sing Aarti together. And in the Aarti also, the Aarti ki thali will come to me first. Right? I'm leading the prayers. Have you heard of organizations where a Muslim leads the Aarti of a Hindu temple? Right? And my men, they know it. They know it. Every single morning in a peace station, particularly, even in field areas, the day for me started by going to the mandir. And the Panditji would come out. He would bring the puja ki thali. He would give me 2 or 3 small pieces of sweet or something, and he would put a tika on my forehead. When the unit saw me going around with the tika on my forehead, everyone was happy to say, today the commanding officer has got a tika on his forehead. Unit, nothing can go wrong. Everything will be right. That's the belief of my men. Can I go against the belief of my men and tell them, no, I'm a Muslim, I will not come to your temple, because Muslims don't go to temples? My God, sacrilege! Can it ever happen like that? In my organization, never. It can't happen. It can't happen. On Guru Purab, the birthday of Guru Nanak, the founder of Sikhism, on that particular day, I used to always, in my latest years when I was a very senior officer, in the morning I would get into my helicopter and I would, before only tell the staff my program, I said, take me to every Sikh unit in Kashmir. I would go to that unit. drop down from the helicopter, go to the Gurdwara, give 1,000 rupees on the altar, do a matha teko, put my forehead on the altar, eat prasad, wish the men happy Guru Nanak, happy Guru Purab, get into the helicopter, go to the next one. And then I would end up at the last place where the unit which was deployed in the most difficult place. I would go and drop there, go to them and eat Guru ka langar, have the lunch with them, right? And at every place we would do our naras, we would give our slogans, and I would come home. I would be satisfied. I would be thoroughly satisfied, mentally, physically, and my men and the officers would always say, see, our general was with us on our most important day. Cultural diversity. And if you can read and acquire knowledge widely, nothing like it. If you can acquire, if I as a Muslim can acquire knowledge on the Bhagavad Gita, I consider the Bhagavad Gita like a philosophy of war for me, a philosophy of life completely. And what an amazing philosophy of life the Gita is. Right? If different people from different faiths can have that much confidence to be able to read about other faiths, can you imagine what a beautiful world this will be? I'm from a Christian school, by the way. I'm from a Christian school. I studied earlier in a Roman Catholic school, and then I studied in a Protestant school. I went to a Protestant college, St. Stephen's, Delhi. And so I call myself a person who's born a Muslim, born into a Muslim family, educated as a Christian, right? I belong to a pure Hindu regiment. And all my friends, my best friends, are all from the Sikh community. So I've got everything inside me. I'm a Muslim, I'm a Hindu, I'm a Sikh, and I'm a Christian. This is what India is. This is what India is. And therefore, this is the only thing that I want to tell you, that today's world, we are regressing. We are not progressing. The internet may come. You may find 5G coming. You may find 7G coming. But mentally, the human beings, all humankind is regressing. We are going inwards into our own religions to say, mine is the best religion. No other religion is good. No, you can't do that. As you progress with technology, as you progress with education, as you progress with innovations, you have to also progress with your cultural diversity, your acceptance, your tolerance for everything which is around you. That is the greatest lesson of life that I can give. And I can tell you, I am today a very satisfied human being because of this particular attitude to faith. This attitude to faith that I have. There's nothing about any other faith which I disbelieve in. I believe in every single faith, the way that faith believes in itself. Okay. My other very, very strong commitment in life is about gender. Gender is, for me, particularly in India today, we are in much better situation today. We are emerging much better today. Our government is doing a lot on this. In education, I think we can do much more. If we start respecting gender sensitivity, and you realize how important it is, it has to come from within human beings. It has to come from within families. Unless families promote this, you will find that we will not progress. We will not achieve. The girl child has to be nurtured. The girl child has to be educated. If you find this strong commitment and if you can make a contribution to it, remember in life, many times you will feel yourself, who am I? Why should I do this? I'm just one single human being. My contribution is nothing. It's not going to make a difference to mankind. Now, if every human being starts perceiving life that way, then nothing will change. Society will never change. Just remember what you are doing, what positivity you're bringing to life outside. You are making a difference to this world. Because there will be many, many more people like you who can understand, who can think like you, and the power of all this put together is going to change things. What we were some years ago, we are far ahead. but we still haven't got there. We still haven't got there. We need much more understanding of in the country that you live. Things are changing. Things are changing dramatically. Very happy to see it. Of course, it can't happen overnight, and it must not happen overnight, because then it becomes very difficult to absorb. But I think you all can make great contributions in this with the correct understanding and the correct pace of gender sensitization. My next subject, which I thought I must emphasize upon, is this aspect of empathy. Empathy. Sympathy is something different, and empathy is something completely different. Right? Empathy is the ability to relate to a situation, to relate to someone else, to relate to the predicament of someone else. And most of us need reminders in life. You need someone to remind you that you need to have greater empathy in life. All of you, by human nature, every one of us is born with pride. All of us are born with pride. I have great pride. I'm a 3-star general. Just now, such good things have been spoken about me. I must go back with my head bloated and my ego hugely inflated. Hugely inflated. At the end of the day, my greater satisfaction comes from appreciating someone else. The power of appreciating someone else. The ability to speak about yourself is always there. You can, I could love to speak about myself and say, I've done this. No, but my greater aspect of my personality will be if I speak about someone else. I understand someone else. I praise someone else. I recognize someone else. I come from a school called Sherwood College, Nainital. I'm not sure whether you heard of the school. The school is very, very famous for 2-3 people. It's the school of Amitabh Bachchan, number 1, right? And everyone in India probably knows that. Number 2 is the school to which Field Marshal Manekshaw went, right? It's also the school which produced India's first Paramveer Chakra. Somnath Sharma in 1947. Motto of the school on the school badge is a bishop's mitre, and it's got a small slogan underneath, a motto. It's called Mariat Quisque Palman in Latin. It means let everyone deserve a prize. While I was in school, I never understood this. Later years also, in my earlier days of youth, I could never understand it. It's in later years, when I grew to be senior, I really understood the importance of this beautiful motto. That means that every human being has been created with something great in him, which is why he deserves to be recognized. And it is for you to understand what is that greatness. And it is for you to nurture that greatness about him. What a beautiful thing. That every human being has got something in him. All human beings are not equal. Someone has got something, someone else has got something else. Someone is a wonderful swimmer, someone is a great hockey player, very good sportsman. The other one is a great artist. The third one is a great singer. Right? The fourth one is a great musician. You have to appreciate, you have to see what is the greatness in him. Nurture that, recognize it, and give him a prize. You don't have to give him a physical prize. The prize is simply a line of appreciation, a word of appreciation, and see how it lights up the life of a person. Let me give you an example, the story. After completing my command of the Baramulla division in Kashmir in 2007, I was posted to Mau in the command of the Army War College, one of the major wings of the Army War College. We were teaching 400 officers, junior officers comparatively, at one time, 3 courses in a year, or 4 courses in a year, 3-month courses we were running. I had 50 colonels under me as instructors who were the teachers, very experienced colonels, came from different, after commanding their units, they used to come and they were teaching there. So when I reached there, the next morning, when I went to my office and I went to the faculty. So first question I asked the faculty, you got 400 students in this course. Tell me, how many prizes are you giving in this course? They told me 1 prize. I said, and show me that 1 prize. So they brought that 1 prize. It was a half-bent trophy on which it was written best student. So I said, and does the person who wins it, you give it to him and you take it back? He said, yes, this is a running trophy. We give it to him and we take it back. It's wonderful. This is a wonderful way of recognition, I must say. And I said, this boy, this man, this student who has earned it by becoming the best student, by working for the last 1 year for this course and coming and doing so well here and spending sleepless nights every day and every night and living without his family perhaps. How does he go back to his wife and tell his wife? More importantly for me, how does he go back to his unit and tell his men that I was the best student? Aren't you going to give him something in his hand? They had not thought of it. I said, okay, now listen to me. So they all perked up their ears. There were 10 colonels sitting around me. I said, now my directions to you. From this course, from tomorrow, there will be 20 prizes which will be given in this course. So they all looked at me, sir, 20 prizes? I said, now that you have questioned me, I'm making it 30 prizes. And every time you question me, I will make it 40, 50, 60, I'll take it to 400 prizes. Because every single man deserves a prize. Every single man deserves a prize. And I will make him worthy of that prize. It is my duty. I am the commander of this wing. It is my responsibility to make every officer who's coming into this wing worthy of being an officer of that stage and qualification. And I will give him a prize. So they were all wondering, prizes for what? I said, you give a prize for being the best debater. We'll open debate here. We'll have debate in the course. You give for best blogger. We'll start blogging in the course. I said, have an innovative mind. Think of new things. So let's open up with blogging. Right. I said, okay, we'll have best in sand model discussions. Best in outdoors. Best lady officer. I said, you have to only open your mind up to understand how many prizes you can give here. You'll be very happy to know that system is still lasting. There are over 30 prizes being given there today. Right. That's number 1. Number 2, I asked them, how do you, at the end of the course, how do you say goodbye to your people? They have been with you for 3 months. Day and night, you've been teaching them. Then you have a ceremony to give them a pep talk and some certificates to people who have done very well and all. How do you organize it? So I was told that they get together in that big hall, and the commander comes and the word given to me was that he bullshits the officers there and tells them how badly they have done on the course, so that they can go back and work harder. I said, amazing. After 3 months of keeping them sleepless, after 3 months of teaching them, you tell them that they are not good enough. I said, that's a commentary on you, on me. That's not a commentary on them. I said, from now on, there will not be one negative word that we will ever speak in this last ceremony that we have. So I conducted the last ceremony. I gave them I pepped up their morale, pepped up their motivation. But I did one last thing, which is the most lasting thing for them in their lives. I told them, first thing in this ceremony, I want all the teachers, all the instructors, 50 of them to come to the stage. So they all came to the stage. They were not sure, what am I going to do? Even the instructors were not sure about it. So they all came. And I told the course, 400 of them to stand up. I said, stand up and give a standing ovation to these 50 people. They are the people who have taught you. They are your gurus. Mind guru. This is your mind guru. These are your gurus. These are your mentors. You will have to respect them for the rest of your life. Spend your time with them the rest of your life. They did that. They were thrilled. They did it. It motivated the 50 instructors hugely. Their whole way of thinking changed. And then the last activity was that we got representatives from every section of my college. Every section means what? I got the safai walas, I got the cooks, the dhobis, the washermen, the drivers, the mechanics, the fatiguesmen on the ground. Every single facet of functioning of the college, I had one or two representatives coming, and they lined up outside. And they came and they walked up to the stage, and the senior most officer of the course was standing there. And on behalf of the course, he thanked them for their services. Now, what was the effect of this? You can imagine these people who have never been thanked in their life. Never been thanked in their life. They're just taken for granted. This man is cleaning the vehicle. This man is driving the bus. This man is cleaning the grounds. Who's bothered about him? He's doing his duty. Someone one fine day puts him on a stage, shakes his hand and says, "Thank you, sir." And then calls him outside for a cup of tea and has a samosa and a jalebi with him. Can you imagine the state of morale of that human being? They fell at my feet. And they told me, some of us have been here for 35 years. 35 years we have been here. Not once has someone turned around and given us a pat on the back. Right? So I turned around to my officers and I told them, this is the lesson for you for life. You'll find hundreds of people around you, hundreds of people around you who you have never cared to look at, who have made a difference to your life, who have taken you to a pedestal, but you have never thought about them. Think about them once and see what difference it makes to their lives, and see the difference it makes to your life. I follow a very simple principle once in a while. It's called 10 handshakes a day. Never forget it. I'm telling you, I'll explain it to you now. What is the meaning of 10 handshakes a day? Start the morning by shaking hands with a person you would never think of shaking hands with. Your driver comes to pick you up in the morning in your office to take you to office from home. Go to him and shake his hand. He'll be shocked. And tell him, thank you. You've been good. You've been nice to me. You've been driving me every day. You're a good man. Go to your office. At the office, sometimes in my office, there's a man to open the door and see me inside and give me a cup of tea, etc. and shake his hand. Say, thank you. You've been very good to me. You've been very good to me. Although it may be a job, but you've been very good to me. Thank you for the way you do your job. See the difference it will make to him. This way you do 10 handshakes a day and see how you can change the life of a human being and how you can change your own life. I've spoken a lot. I can speak for 5 minutes more, maybe. Let me see, what should I, because there's lots of things I could have gone into. The aspect of giving. The aspect of giving. We are, by nature, human beings are takers. We love taking. I love receiving a gift from anyone. If I receive a gift, I would love to open it up, tear it up and see inside what's in it. Beautiful, wonderful, keep it with me. If it's a box of chocolates, I would love to taste a chocolate. This is today's Diwali. You will have a lovely kaju katli or something like that and have a kaju katli and enjoy it. These are the kind of things which you enjoy as a taker. But the pleasure of taking can never be as high as the pleasure of giving. And therefore, it has to be inculcated in you that you need to take it out from within. It must come all the time. The ability to give. Every time you're thinking of, every time this issue of receiving something is there, in your mind, it should be about giving. Let me give you one or two examples. Today's Diwali. I had some soldiers of mine who worked with me throughout my career. I employed them in my house later on after they retired, after I retired. One of them is a old timer. Due to COVID, he had gone back to his family in Uttarakhand. He had gone back there and he could not come back here because of travel and problems of COVID, etc. So he's not working for me anymore. Right? In Diwali, I have given gifts to my staff, given a certain amount of money, bonus, some certain items to everyone. Could I forget that man who's not working for me anymore? He's not working for anymore. He's not my staff anymore. Why should I give him? Two things come in life. Number one, a relationship is a relationship for life. He has worked with me. He's worked with me for 35 years, 30 years. Should I forget him because he's not worked with me for 9 months now? No. Whatever I have given to my other staff, I should give it to him. This is the enjoyment, the power of giving. The power of giving is always there. I mean, it will add oodles of happiness to you. If you always remember in your life from time to time, but you need reminders. You can't, every aspect, either it is embedded in your personality. Either it's embedded in your personality, which is the ideal thing, but it's not always humanly possible. It's not embedded in my personality. I can tell you. I mean, I have to admit one weakness is much of my leadership is driven by my spouse. Much of it is driven by my spouse, who understands these things marvelously. We are in sync with each other. I remind her and she reminds me. And that is where, again, gender, again, the aspect of understanding gender, the sensitivity of a woman. What a sensitivity of a woman. A man cannot be as sensitive. He cannot. And therefore, I always listen. I always listen. The power of listening is more important. That brings me to the subject itself here, the power of listening. The ability to speak. We all love to hear our voice. I love to hear my voice, right? I'm hearing my own voice at the moment and feeling very egoistic, let me assure you. But the power of listening is a greater quality. Because if I listen, I acquire knowledge. If I listen, I'm getting experience of someone else. I'm the benefactor. I'm the benefiter, right? So therefore, listening is a far greater practice than speaking. This is an aspect, again, to be embedded in your personality. In fact, these are one or two things of personality which must come. Number one, accepting someone else's ideas. As a senior officer in the Indian Army, my staff puts up, lots of used to put up a lot of things to me, and I used to always say, this is acceptable. Whatever is someone else's ideas, I do not have the time to go into detail. If I have to go into detail, then I can't command my troops or my army there, right? So I have to trust. I have to accept someone else's ideas. I have to accept someone else's way of writing and approve it and back it. Once I have approved it, give total backing to it. That is the ideal way of commanding. That's the ideal way of directing. The directive style of leadership is all about that. The ability to appreciate someone, the ability to understand that person's point of view, the ability to be in sync with him, give him the full backing, and at the end of it, signing something which someone else has written and someone else has thought about becomes your thought and your idea. This is not an easy practice. Most senior people, most senior officers, most senior leaders in the corporate world, etc., love to go by their own ideas. I have done this, so it's the best idea. You will find there are so many people around you who are better than you. If you just open your mind, open your eyes and open your mind, there'll be so many people who will be better than you, whose ideas you can imbibe. Call them your own ideas afterwards and sign them and send them out. That's the best thing which can happen to an organization. And the last one or two issues which I thought I must emphasize. Nothing like success. Nothing like success. Success gives you an ego boost. It motivates you. It's very energizing. But what about failure? Are you always going to succeed in life? You're going to fail many, many times in life. I've failed too many times. Too many times in life. Let me tell you, when I started my career in the army, in the very first course that I did, I had a medical problem. I broke my knee. And for next 3 years, I was a low medical category and I could not attend a single course. People said, this is the end of your career. I said, I'll be damned. This is the end of my career. I will come out of this. I will come out of this failure. So I in my mind, I created this whole understanding of creating success out of failure, emerging successful from having failed. Actually, failure really teaches you how to be strong. Someone who has only succeeded in life, at some stage will fail in life at a senior stage, and then he won't know how to take failure. But if you have failed in life sometime, you will understand how failure hits you, how it hits your ego, how people look at you, how people consider you differently, and then how must you emerge from that. How must you absorb all that criticism? How much you absorb all that thing which demotivates you, and then for you to emerge from it. At some, if you just take it to heart and decide that you are not going to make an effort to come out of the failure, then you will just fade away. You will just fade away. But let me tell you, for every failure, there is a window. There are not one, there are 10 windows which you have to seek, which you have to open. And those windows will lead you to success somewhere. That is why it's more important to understand the aspect of failure than success. I think I'm almost done. I have spoken now almost 50 minutes. And we've got about 25 minutes. I think I must leave time for questions and leave a lot more which I've got with me to speak. Talk about it perhaps the next time. I would strongly recommend, I always do this in every one of my talks, some reading material. I would strongly recommend to you to read an article, a story which you can Google. And if someone can make a note, he can distribute it to everyone later. Google it. It's called The Rope. The Rope. R-O-P-E, The Rope. And it's by a army officer called Captain, I'm forgetting his name. It will come back to me. It will come back to me by the time I finish the question and answers. But even if you just type Captain and The Rope, it will come in the Google somewhere. Read the story. This story is about the Siachen Glacier and how a man fell into a crevasse, ice inside the savannah, and how a young captain handled that whole situation. I won't tell you what happened in the end, but handled that entire situation. It is a leadership story of a different kind, completely unique. And I strongly recommend that you read this. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure speaking to you all. And I will take any questions that you have. Thank you.
It's our pleasure indeed, sir. And as you've taken us through various facets of how we can be a good leaders, it's going to add immense value to all the participants, students, parents who have joined us in this great evening. Thanks a lot, sir. And the captain's name has been already shared by one of the participants. I believe it's Captain Raghuraman the Rope.
That's right. That's right. So, Captain Raghuraman. Absolutely. He's a great friend of mine and I forgot his name, sorry. Absolutely.
So it's been a pleasure, sir, listening to you. As you rightly said in the beginning, there was a workshop by the great Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw, sir, he's touched on the various aspects, how to be a great leader. And today we are blessed to witness a similar type of session from a General Saab. Thank you, sir, for taking us through. So before we move in for the question and answer session, as you rightly said, sir, thanking is a gesture we do believe in as an, and very important value one individual should possess. So I invite my mentor, my guru, Sri Murali Krishnan, sir, to thank the great General Saab who has been graciously taking us through the leadership lessons for the evening. Sri Murali Krishnan, sir, over to you.
Thank you, Bala, and thank you, General Saab, for this, what I should say, the wonderful Diwali gift that I've ever received. Thank you so very much, sir, for this wonderful gift that you have given. I would say it was inspiringly inspiring. Why? Because, the way you dealt the whole session, it is actually coming from you within the kind of, the touch, the love, the affection that you have. And you rightly pointed out when you said relationships are for life. And those things really matters. And the examples that you quoted out of, all those things, giving and things like that. And even when you, spelled our names like Murli and Vala, we felt as if we know each other for quite a long time. It doesn't happen, it just comes from within, sir. And I'm sure that all those who have listened, indeed, for all of them, it would have been indeed a great Diwali gift. And we are so happy that we were able to, give this to all our members, all our friends, and especially the next generation. And the next thing which I would like to point out is we are all here for holistic learning. And what should I say? All that you gave us in this last 1 hour is all about holistic learning. You touched about, the gender sensitization, the cultural diversity, going beyond your forte about knowledge. It's not only about your subject. You must go beyond the subject to learn things all around. Reading newspapers, and you took us back to your memories where, someone introducing you to the reading newspapers have highlighted your journey forward. Indeed, great message for all of you, sir, especially when these times we see that human values, the value of ethics, the moral values are all going down, and how wonderfully you have talked about empathy and, the power of appreciation, the power of giving. So I have nothing more to say, sir. Thank you, and thank you, sir. And once again, I reiterate what you said. Every single person deserves a prize, sir. Thank you so very much. And I'm sure that I'm going to, say thank you or handshake with 10 guys at least a day. Thank you so very much, sir. Over to you, Bala.
Thank you, Murali Krishnan, sir. And indeed, we missed the opportunity to shake the hands with the General Saab. For sure, in the future, we will have an opportunity to do so.
Definitely, sir.
Thank you, sir. Sir, and there are a couple of questions which have more than a couple I've received. So we'll see how time permits, and we'll try to rush through that, sir.
But I'm open to it whenever time you want. There's no problem.
Fine, sir. So the first question which comes in is like, how one should mentally deal with a situation that is going out of control and not going your way, despite being prepared for the best for it.
Despite being prepared for?
Despite being best prepared for it.
You see, that's a very interesting question. And this is something which happens in our lives, in lives of soldiers, and particularly people who have risen to higher ranks. We face this adversity almost every day. This evening, I sent a WhatsApp message to the commander in Kashmir, who's the position which I was in 10 years ago. I asked him, what is happening on the line of control? So many places, things are happening. You have lost men. There is shelling, there is firing, and things like that taking place. I hope you got things under control. That's the question I asked him exactly. And within 5 minutes, he responded. He and I share a very good bond because relationship for life. He served under me. He was the commander of the Uri Brigade when I was the commander of the Kashmir Corps. And today he is the commander of the Kashmir Corps. And that relationship for life is continuing. And we are in touch with each other. He seeks my advice many, many times. I offer my advice without him asking sometimes when I realize that probably he's stuck somewhere and he needs my advice. Now, therefore, these are the kind of situations you will come across. And let me tell you, the higher you go in life, as you start rising in life, the more lonely will you become. More lonely you will become. As you are lower in life and you've got situations which present themselves in front of you, there will be 20 people to advise you on what to do, right? And you may perhaps abdicate your thing completely and someone will take charge and do it for you. But when you are in senior positions in life, as you go in, particularly where life and death, where there's a question of life and death particularly, it's not only in my job, it's in many other jobs, let me tell you. It's in the jobs of policemen. It is in the jobs of disaster relief personnel, firefighters. Today's Diwali night, tomorrow Diwali actually night. You see the number of firefighters who will be on the streets, who will be on readiness all the time. Diwali night is a night when you have a lot of fires in different cities all over, and they are the ones who are always responding to it. Right? So there are lots and lots of people in these life and death situations who are there. And a situation, I would say it should never happen that a situation is out of control. You will always have a 5%, I would say even a 1% chance of recovery. The moment mentally you make up your mind that you have lost control, you have then given up. Then the situation cannot be retrieved. Mentally, you have to be prepared for it. Okay. Now, I'll give you an example, a good example from my own life. As a senior commander, not the highest commander, but as one of the appointments I held in Kashmir, winter, I had a particular post up in high altitude, 14,000 feet, which was under a lot of snow. And early January, the weather pattern was emerging. Very heavy snowstorm was likely to be in the next 3-4 days. I told my senior commanders that I need to pull this post inside because there will be too much of snow on them, and they will not be able to move out once the snow comes. Once the snow comes, there'll be too much snow and they'll not be able to walk back. I need to pull them back. No one accepted my proposal. No one accepted my proposal. Because they said, no, if you pull them back prematurely and the snow does not come, then the terrorists may come through that open space. They may infiltrate inside. My argument was very simple. 10 terrorists may come, I will hunt them and I will kill them. You don't bother about it. I don't want to lose my good 10 men, 15 men there. No one accepted my suggestion. And I was left, therefore. It was not my decision, but I was left to handle a very, very difficult situation. And the snowstorm came. Very, very heavy snowstorm. Much heavier than what was expected. Tremendous amount of snow came. So much that the situation for those 15 men became life-threatening. I went back to my senior commanders and asked them. They said, you can withdraw them. I said, now you're telling me to withdraw them. You know very well that I withdraw them now, they will come under snow somewhere, there will be an avalanche somewhere. Something will happen. They said, no, the decision is yours. I said, okay, the decision is mine. I still told my men, you will not move back. You will not move back. You will stay where you are because while the snowstorm is on, you can't move. It's very, very difficult. Next morning, for a momentary time, 2 hours, I was away somewhere else for another operation when I was told that those men panicked. And they got up and they, without the orders, they started moving back. They moved back and at en route, very short distance, in the mountains, 1 kilometer. 1 kilometer takes you 7 hours to move. 1 kilometer they were trying to cover when a huge avalanche came on them. I lost 13 good men who died. 13 good men because of the stupidity of someone else. Situation was totally out of control. Totally out of control. And I had to handle it. I had to push people up in the most endangering situation. I had to push people up. I had to go and dig and take out some of the people who were still living. We managed to get them out, some of them. But we lost 5 soldiers and 8 porters, civilian porters who were living with them there. We lost them. And their bodies could not be recovered till the entire summer, till the entire winter. In summer, we had to recover them. But I managed to get hold of that situation. We recovered the situation and did not allow it to go out of control. The men were very livid. Men were angry. And it happens. In those situations, no one sitting in Delhi is going to understand what is happening on the line of control. It is your responsibility, and you become the person who is handling the effect of the decision taken by someone above you. And this kind of a situation will come in your life many times. I can assure you. You have no hand in taking that decision, but the effects of that decision you have to handle. Now you have to remember only one thing: don't mentally give up. The moment you mentally give up, you have lost your situation. Even if you have 5% of a chance of recovery, ensure you go in, have a positive attitude, keep that positive attitude, speak to your men. You don't have to physically present yourself there, but even through radio, even through telephone, through mobile, your voice should be very inspiring. You should be able to motivate the regaining of that situation. And that is the only way it can be done. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, sir, for sharing that detailed insights about that perspective of a question, sir. In continuation with that question, there is a question coming from one of a man who is leading a division. He's a distinguished Toastmaster as well. He's saying, like, at situation, could be you have to hold on to your emotions, not letting the emotions overtake you. In such situation, what is the driving force? What is the driving force one, has to keep in mind when taking that kind of an very tacit conditional calls? So your thoughts and insights on that, sir.
Absolutely. When you were playing my video, very, very, very well put together video, which I must compliment you, you showed a photograph of mine many times saluting from different angles. Those photographs were taken at the wreath laying ceremony of my soldiers. When the system in Kashmir is, when you lose 1 man, 2 men, 3 men, anything, the body is brought in a casket to one particular place in the headquarters at Srinagar. And we have a gathering of officers. Then the senior most that I would come there. Together, I will put a wreath on the body. We salute the body. We salute the memory of the soldier. And irrespective of rank, you may be the lowest rifleman or maybe the senior general. When we do that, then it goes into the vehicle and it is taken to the airport. And today we have a system of transporting the body home where proper last rites are performed. Now, these are very emotional moments, very, very emotional moments, right? There are also emotional moments when you have in battle itself, you may have. In Sri Lanka, I saw this many times because I was the rank of a major at that time. I had 130 men under my command. I lost men. I found men bleeding. I found we went into a minefield. I lost men who lost their feet. Their legs were blown off. Very, very awkward situations, let me tell you. In fact, one particular situation where we were walking along in the jungle, approaching a particular area in which we had to do an operation. The first man who was ahead of me, in fact, he was the 5th man. I was the 5th man and that person was the 4th man in that column. And he stepped on a mine. The same, I could have stepped on that mine, but he stepped on that mine and his foot got blown up. The blood of his foot, it goes from the knee. The blood came on my face. It came into my face, and it's a traumatic kind of an experience. And he fell down there. I thought he has died. Actually, he was alive, and he was alive. And I thought something had happened to me, myself. So it's a very hugely emotional kind of a thing which hits you. Physically, you may be all right at that time, but mentally, are you there or not? It hits you in that manner. You have to recover from it immediately. Emotionally, you have to immediately, because if you allow your emotions to run at that particular time, that is the trigger. The leader's emotions are always the trigger. It weakens the emotions of everyone around you. Because everyone's emotions have reached a threshold, a particular point from where they can either break down or they can recover. Now, you are also a part of that same organization. And your job is not to break down with your command. Your job is to make sure that you remain stable, which is why a leader at any level has to be emotionally stronger than his command. Always has to be emotionally stronger than his command. Sometimes you will find that there are some people around you who are stronger than you, and they will emerge in that situation as the local temporary leader. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with it. Not everyone is designed to be very emotionally strong. But allow the other person the leeway to take command for some time, rest on his shoulders for a while, and then recover again, get back again. That is the way. This understanding is very important, that you are not the strongest human being. Don't think of yourself as the strongest human being. There are weaknesses in you. Any human being, natural thing is that there are weaknesses in you. Those weaknesses will emerge in these situations, right? But if you have the confidence in someone else, like allowing him to take command, or you have the confidence to ensure that you swallow everything, swallow your emotions, swallow your tears, your best friend, your buddy may be lying in pieces. In my profession, he may be lying in pieces there. But you can't allow your emotions to run. Because the moment, as I told you, your emotions run, that threshold will be crossed and your command will go berserk. This happens many times. In particularly situations in which there are IED attacks, improvised explosive devices. Now, 14th of February, Pulwama attack took place in 2019. 40 CRPF policemen got killed in that attack on that bus. Can you imagine the emotions of the soldiers, same CRPF soldiers who went to pick up the bodies? Those bodies were in pieces, tattered bodies completely. Can you imagine the emotions of those people? Can you imagine the emotions of those 1 or 2 or 3 officers who were in command of that situation? Just imagine yourself to be there, and you will realize yourself how important it is to be mentally strong. Yeah.
I think it would have helped the leader to groom himself for the better, sir. Thank you for taking him through. Sir, we have consumed good amount of time of yours. Do we have another 10 minutes of yours?
Yeah,
we can.
10 minutes, no problem at all.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you for being gracious enough in that aspect. Thank you, sir. And this, I'll try to couple the question. This comes from our students. One student has asked, sir, I have an challenge of controlling my anger. Oh. Can you share in some insights how I can control that? The second question comes from another student asking, sir, there were plenty of careers in front of you. Why this career? I guess I can very well know the reasons behind it, knowing the history of yours, sir. But if it comes from you, it will be a great learning for them. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you. The first one on temper. Let me assure you, number one, age, growing up in life, time are the greatest healers of temper, always. I remember my father. My father was also a general officer in the Indian Army, and that's why I'll talk about it in the second question. My father's temper was just amazing. I mean, he could fly off the handle on anything. And he was a stickler for time. The unit, I commanded the same unit that he raised also. The whole unit used to be shivering. In case there were 10 seconds delay for anything, the unit would be shivering. They knew that the commanding officer would be there at the exact appointed second he'll be there. That is what his time management was such. On parade, military parades, when you say attention, when you say savdhan, no one is supposed to move at all. Even if the fly comes and sits on your nose, you're not supposed to move. How do you do that? What happened was, one of the senior NCOs appointments, Battalion Haldar Major, who's a senior most NCO of the unit, he was troubled by a fly on his hand, and he moved his hand on parade. And my father noticed him from distance, 200 meters, and he let him have it. And he broke his rank. He brought him from a Battalion Haldar Major, made him a rifleman, and almost sent him home. Almost sent him home. And the unit, then they realized that here is a man who will do no wrong himself. He expects that no one will do wrong under him. This is the kind of temper. But as he grew senior, the word is tempered his temper, tempered himself. And much of it came from influence of family, influence of friends. So the biggest thing that you can do to your temper today, I would say, is to have a strong group of friends. If you've got very good friends around, friends with whom you can trust, friends who you can depend on your life on them, and they can be from any sex, both sexes, they can be, right? I can assure you, the kind of influence that friends can have on your temper, nothing can have. You can go for any amount of counseling. You can go for any amount, anything else you can do. But it is friendship that gives you that confidence in yourself. And the friendship will bring out your better emotions. Every man has got different emotions in his body. It depends on which emotions are at a higher level at different times. You will find that the better emotions of your body will start functioning more when you have more and more friends in your life. That's number one. Second part, why did I decide to join the army? I was a fairly good student. No, let me admit to you my failings in life. I was a very, very poor student until about class 6 or so. I had no idea how to work. I thought, why is everyone around me working when I know everything? Whatever has been taught to me by my teachers, I seem to know it. When I went to the exam, I wrote whatever it was, but I never got the marks somehow. Obviously, there was something wrong with my understanding and organization of my brain, of my mind. Oh, after a little while, I learned it a little better. Worked very, very hard. Worked extremely hard. I've been working hard from my class 8 days. That's when I was about 12 years old or 13 years old. I learned the concept of hard work, which meant everyone else in my class in the school was sleeping. I was in a hostel in Nainital. Everyone was sleeping at night comfortably. I was awake at 2:30 at night. And I would work till 6 o'clock in the morning after getting up at 2:30. Every day I would do it. I had one other colleague, a friend of mine, who motivated me. I motivated him. Both of us sat together and worked. We both did well on our academic studies, right? In this manner, we went up. And at some stage, of course, I must also tell you, at some stage, a lot of people advise me that if you don't want to study anymore in life, then you should join the army. Because in the army, then you have no studies at all, and everything is physical. You have to learn physical training, games, firing, and things like that. Let me tell you one thing, a lesson of life. In the army, I've never stopped studying. The amount of studying that you need to do in the army is just nobody's business. Academics, your own profession, as I told you, knowledge gaining, there has never been a time when I slept before 1 o'clock at night. I can tell you that, right? All my life. So, but why did I choose to join this profession? Number one, because we are two brothers. My elder brother is far, far better than me academically, very good brain, very, very sharp brain, excellent debater, excellent speaker. He decided he's going to join the civil services. At that time, he joined the civil services, selected for the foreign service, but ultimately left and joined the corporate world. It was left to me, should I continue with the tradition of the family? I was hugely influenced by the soldiers in my father's unit in his life, his colleagues, who told me, you are the makings of a good soldier, why don't you join the army? And that kept influencing me all the time. Otherwise, I was cut out for civil services. I could have gone to the civil services. I was from St. Stephen's College, which produces dime a dozen civil services people all the time. I could have easily joined any of them, probably made it academically. But at the end of it, somehow, the appeal of wearing the uniform, the appeal of putting on the cap badge proved to be stronger. And that is what brought me into the army. And let me say, no regrets. If I have to live life all over again, I'll love to go back to the same unit, same regiment, to the same situations. Very, very dangerous situations one has faced in life. 52 times one has been fired upon in life. 52 times one has received bullets at my end, right? One could have died at any stage in those life-threatening situations that one has gone through, but one came out unscathed, scathed at one time, maybe a little bit of injuries at some times here and there, but made me a very strong believer in God, and God of every religion, as I told you. I'm a believer of every religion, so made me much stronger. And as I say, if someone ever, among you, if anyone ever thinks of joining the armed forces as a profession, think about it. It's a wonderful profession, there's no doubt, but it's not an easy profession. It's not a bed of roses in any way. Think of people who are sitting up in Ladakh today and serving at those heights, serving in that cold. It's minus 20 degrees, I'm told, there already, and it will go down to minus 40, minus 45 in the near future.
Thank you, sir. I think that should be inspiring our students for sure. Then comes on to our gurus. Our gurus, our mentors have posted in certain questions, sir. I just tried to club it up. You were talking about relationships, sir. Your insights, how to mend our fractured relationship. And you were also sharing some insights about studies and, like, you should keep reading. And what is your tips, how to find and correct news, segregating it from a noise? Like, there are a lot of, and what is your views about the library aspect or the library culture and usage of it? So this is coming from our mentor, so I thought I'll just club it up and then put it on for your.
Thank you. You can have a look at my library. Right? That's a part of my library, right? Can't be away without books. Today, of course, a lot of online reading is available. So one does a lot of online reading. But very good question about the aspect of fractured relationships. That's a very good question. And in life, this always happens. When you are young, particularly, you will have hugely fractured relationships. Even later on in life, I've had fractured relationships many, many times. But if I have to do some soul searching, I will always admit that these fractured relationships were more due to ego than anything else. More due to ego. You think you are right. Everyone thinks he's always right. To admit that you are wrong is one of the very, very difficult emotions in life. To admit that you are wrong. To swallow your ego or not have ego at all is even more difficult. So I think it's a very, very important aspect, that self-realization. As I kept telling you throughout this talk, that everything cannot be realized by you. There has to be triggers given by people. There has to be advice given by people. Your spouse has to keep advising you, counseling you from time to time. You have to be a good listener. You have to be a good listener. I'll tell you, at senior ranks, I had a staff. You get a personal staff with you, right? I had a colonel, I had a captain, I had a lieutenant colonel, 3 of them. Many times I would, and all 3 of them were very good friends with my wife. All 3 of them were very good friends of my wife. Many times, I was given a good, very good sort of shabash or something good one has done in Kashmir, one has done some great operation, etc. And I got huge kudos, and the newspapers wrote next morning, what a wonderful thing the army has done. And my head was bloated, always getting bloated. And my ego was very, very high. I can admit it to you, all this. And this is important for you to understand. It is the staff of mine, the colonel, lieutenant colonel, and the captain, my ADC. They would speak to my wife, and my wife would tell them that, the general last night was talking about this. I think his ego is going very high. And these are the guys who would come around me, right? And they would start, prodding me with things to say, you should not say this, you should not do this, right? I would be telling a story in a public place. We're having a cup of tea and telling a story. After I finished and come away, the captain would come to me, sir, I don't think you should have said that. Now, he's a captain, I'm a lieutenant general, right? But the ability to listen and the ability to trust. Therefore, in your life, you have to have people like that all the time with you. You have to have some confidant, some people, maybe junior, senior, your colleagues, whatever they are, but someone with whom you trust tremendously. And they tell you things. I think my relationships in life remained good, very good in the army, primarily because I listened a lot to people. Whenever I did not listen to people, whenever I was on my own and whenever my ego was high, I lost friends. I lost friends. Let me tell you, in life, I have lost friends many times, but I have recovered friends also. 6 months, 3 months down the line, go up, shake hands, bump a hand, have a drink together, and you are friends again. In the army, the common thing is to have a drink together and you are friends again, right? Forget all the past. This keeps happening. So fractured relationships is a natural phenomenon. First of all, there's nothing unnatural about it. But it's a question of self-realization. It's a question of your personality and the way you develop your personality over a period of time. But the most important of it is the aspect of who you hang around with, who you trust, and who can speak openly to you and advise you. That's the aspect. The other aspect is, how does one take out the core from the noise? Yeah, very, very important. It's a lesson from my brother that I keep picking up. My brother, when he's living in my house, when he comes and visits me and lives in my house, I read 6 newspapers, 8 newspapers in a day, as I tell you, physically. He at 6 o'clock in the morning gets up, goes for a very long walk and comes back. And he comes back and he finds me here. I may have had a short walk and come together. At 7:30 or 8 o'clock, we're together. He has read every newspaper. And how? He has read it online. And he has picked up exactly what is required to be picked up. Nothing more. As you say, picking out the core from the noise. There is so much noise around you. You pick up the internet, you pick up news, you pick up anything. I mean, the television is today is just booming with information. The information revolution, as you're aware, is just booming. Much of it is rot. Much of it is muck which is flying around, right? You have to know how to pick up on what is your level, what is your interest, you have to decide what is your priority. For me, geopolitics is my priority. So I go to the center page, see the 3 or 4 major articles in the Indian Express, read them. In the Hindu, read the one major article, or on the editorial side, I must read it. That's important, particularly if it's connected with geopolitics, right? I can go connect up with sports, because I find sports is a subject with which I can speak anywhere. So I'm always fully in the picture about sports, right? Then I go to economics, because I find today's world, you can't do without economics. You have to understand economics. You have to understand the corporate world. I speak very often to the corporate world. I can't be seen to be uneducated completely. So I have to be fully in the picture. I must know most of the terminologies which are used, etc. For example, yesterday, the finance minister's speech. I listened to it. I couldn't understand much of it, but I read the Economic Times this morning to make more sense out of it. So that happened. This is how you go into your areas of competence. Your areas of interest become the core areas. The noise is all there. The noise is there to glance. I glance at these news. I make sure I read headlines. I read all the headlines here and there, broadly. And if I'm in a position to be able to discuss it broadly with anyone, but my core areas, those are the areas one pays attention to. And that's how you pick up the core issues out of fuzz which is around you. And the last question was about
the library, sir. The library,
sorry?
Sir.
Oh, yeah,
Libraries.
Library. I agree. The reading habit is an essential thing. Absolutely. Let me tell you, most of the books that I have with me, I have not purchased half the books. These are mostly gifts given to me because of the fact that people know that I'm a reader. They want me to review books. I review a lot of books. I write blurbs for a lot of books, right? And I don't read every book which is given to me, let me tell you. Many of these books which are lying in my library I have not read. These are available to anyone who comes, among my friends who come to me at home. It's always open to them. They wish to take away a book, they can take it away at any time, right? So books are, I would say, again, a question of your choice and a question of your interest. My interest in books, non-fictional particularly, is in war history, in geopolitics. 17th of November, Barack Obama's book is coming out. I will make sure I get a copy of that. Right? Today's descriptions of that have come out on what he thinks about Rahul Gandhi and what he thought about Manmohan Singh and things like that. Barack Obama is worth reading. Right? 8 years at the helm of the United States, and a wonderful leader, which I had great respect for him. I will read him definitely. So when these things come out, you look forward to it, right? And many are forced books which are there with me. People force it in your hand or send it to you by post, etc. You keep them with you. It's good enough, nothing else. So that's how the concept of a library is built up over a period of time. I have given away a lot of books, let me tell you. I don't waste books. I've given a lot of books to schools. I've given a lot of books to clubs, because you never know, something which may not be of your interest may be of great interest to someone else. Why not give it to him? Why not give that opportunity to that person to probably look at it? So a book has its place. At some stage, it will find a reader. So I just give it to a club. It's kept there in the library of the club. One fine day, someone will come and pick it out and probably browse through it and read it. So very good thing. So that's the concept of the library which I follow.
Excellent, sir. I still remember you sharing a thought like, how you start reading your day with dawn.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. I start with dawn. You see, I consider, but not a very palatable thing to say, I consider Pakistan as an unfriendly country. And as a military man, I always consider that the mind of the unfriendly country must be known to me. I must know the mind of the political leadership. I must know the mind of the intelligence. I must know the mind of the military there. I must know the corporate mind. I must know the mind of the people. And I must know the mind of the media. So nothing like picking up the dawn in the morning, first thing, and going through it and understanding. Before you read your own newspapers, you read the adversaries' newspapers.
Excellent, sir. So am I allowed for one similar kind of a bunch of a question to you, sir? Like, two follow-up questions?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. There was a reference with respect to gender equality, sir. So how do you think this gender equality aspect can be taken to the rural part of India? This comes from an volunteer and a partner of ours. So he wants to know how it can be taken there. And then there is one more point, sir. When you had an option of prioritizing whether it was the nation first or the nation subject.
No, I couldn't get that question. Second one.
Whenever you have to prioritize amongst the nation or the nation subject, how and that prioritization happens, sir. So I think that's all, sir. I think for the esteemed guest. Yes, sir. Go to you.
Prioritization between the nation and the nation's subjects.
Yes, sir. The people, I believe that is what the question meant to be.
Among the people, I mean, between the nation and the people.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me just make a note. Yeah. Okay. The aspect of rural. Okay, I'll give you from my experience. I can only speak from my experience. One of the things which I always spoke in Kashmir about the woman, and this is particularly about rural women. I said no one realizes the role of the woman in counter-terrorism. So people wondered, what is the role of the woman in counter-terrorism? I said, do you realize one thing? Our terrorism in Kashmir is generally rural-based, less urban. The power of the woman is that the woman is a mother of the terrorist. A terrorist has to have a mother. She is also the sister of a terrorist. Terrorists will have a sister or may not. She is also the sister-in-law of the terrorist. She is also the wife of a terrorist. She is also possibly, if it's an older terrorist, the daughter of a terrorist. So a woman may have relationships with a terrorist in different ways. It is the woman who can prevent that person, that individual who has chosen the path of terrorism. It is the woman who can prevent him going on that path. So people question me, how? I said, see, the mother can counsel the son. The wife can counsel the husband and say, see, you are leaving us to the mercy of the police or the army or everyone else. And you think you are doing something to achieve something great, but what about the family? What about us? That mental pressure on the terrorist, on person who's becoming a potential terrorist, who's looking at religion and is looking at all these kind of things, the influence of the woman can be immense on him. The mother, the wife, the daughter, anyone. That aspect of that emotion of leaving your family to itself. While you should be the provider for the family, you are becoming the ditcher of the family. So then people started catching on this. And then, yes, this is an interesting aspect. And I would particularly speak to a lot of audiences in Kashmir. My principle, the doctrine was the heart is the weapon. Let the heart do the speaking, right? So I used to go and speak with my heart to a lot of audiences. And I would always appeal to the women.
that you have the power to change things here. Today, I'm glad that the army is following this, the police is following this to a great extent. Many times, what they're doing is when a young terrorist goes into the bush, when he picks up a weapon and goes into the bush, he's not even been there for 5 days, 6 days. They first go to his parents. They go to his parents and say, okay, now we will try and put you across to your son on the radio. We'll try and see if we can put him on the radio or on the mobile or something like that. You put an appeal to him. Let the mother make the appeal. Let the sister make the appeal. Tell him to come back. We will forgive him. And it's worked. It's worked a couple of times. People have actually come back. So you realize that in the rural areas, actually the woman has got a great role to play. She may not be educated, but less educated women sometimes are worldly wise, very, very worldly wise. And therefore, men tend to listen to them many times. And with this kind of understanding and relationship, perhaps you can go into the field and look at women differently. Look at their knowledge need not be academic knowledge, but their knowledge is about existence, about human beings, about everyday life, and those aspects. Those aspects can be exploited and they can be empowered to a greater extent, much greater extent. Of course, you educate them and do things like that for empowerment. One of the things which we empower women in Kashmir with is with sports. Is with sports. You find the Kashmiri girl, the girl child of Kashmir, some of the best sports women you will find in India come out from Kashmir. All the unconventional sports, contact sports, martial arts, and winter sports, and all kinds of things. It is the young girls who are doing so well in this. If you don't encourage them, you lose them out completely. So I'm giving you ideas, basically. These are the kind of ideas that you can play upon as far as rural empowerment of women is concerned. Now, the question of putting nation first or putting people first. I consider people as the nation. That's the way I would look at it. I consider the people as the nation. For me, okay, let's take a situation. Let's take a situation where you have a terrorist in a hideout, in a house. And if I destroy that house, if I want to kill that terrorist, I can destroy that house. But the family in whose house the terrorist has taken refuge may not be guilty. That family may have been forced by the terrorists to actually occupy that house. But I insist on destroying the house to kill the terrorist. Now, this is the dilemma which I have sometimes in a place like Kashmir. Nation first means to kill the terrorist by any means, irrespective of the house getting burnt, house getting destroyed. Other thing is, look at the plight of the people you are going to make homeless. The government is supposed to be building the house, rebuilding the house, but it hardly ever happens. It takes a long time to do it. So you are one full family, you are converting them against the nation. A nation which could have been on your side, you are making it go away from you completely. This is the biggest dilemma that you have many times. And sometimes it happens that if you don't destroy that house, you have the risk of losing men by attempting to do surgical operations on that house to try and kill that terrorist. So this is a huge, huge dilemma. It's only situational that you can find, you can understand, or you can come to solutions. It is only in situational analysis that you can do that. I would not blindly put nation first. I would not. I would say the long-term effect of it may be nation first. I would perhaps look for the people's angle first before the nation. So it's all situation. I will not sort of put a thumbs rule to it as such. Thank you.
Very clear, sir, for taking us through all those Q&A session. And even before I go on for the closure remarks, I thought, from our
I'd love to hurry up a little because 9 o'clock.
Yeah, it's done, sir. It's done. We'll have a 45 seconds to 1 minute kind of a note from Dr. R.J. George first.
Midishop, thank you so much for your wonderfully inspiring talk. And, you told us many things from your own experience, and you made a huge difference to our lives today. And there were lots of takeaways. And one of them is to maintain the energy levels. As a speaker, as a presenter, you went on breathlessly and you spoke straight from your heart and you brought in your own personal experiences. That's what we have been trying hard to achieve, but we fail frequently. And we come up with the tons and tons of statistics and present the statistics before the audience. Today, you presented a huge, inspiring story, truly inspiring, and quoting examples from your own personal experiences with no dip in the energy levels. I think probably you could have said this as one of the qualities required for a successful leader, but you demonstrated. Today, you didn't say, you demonstrated through your experience. The energy levels were steadily high, and we are truly very grateful. I would like to place on record my sincere gratitude on behalf of all these gurus and students. And we will certainly now tune into NDTV. Probably you're going to be there on a live session. Am I right, sir?
NDTV at 10 o'clock. NDTV at 10 o'clock. 9
Okay.
o'clock, I'll be on Doordarshan.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. We are really fortunate enough to have you, sir. The true leader. We love the Indian Army. We love the Indian nation. We love you. Jai Hind. Thank you so much, sir, for
So-
being with us, for sparing your time. Thank you so much.
General
much.
Saab, I think it's too tight for us to hold you back any further, sir. On another day, we'll be having more and more sessions. As you said rightly, it's a relationship for life, and we would like to look forward for more and more sessions. Thanks a lot, sir, for being so graciously taking us through this evening. Thanks a lot. Jai
Thank
Hind
you
and
very
happy
much.
Diwali, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
thank you,
Happy
thank you,
Diwali to
sir, and
everyone.
Jai Hind. Happy
Happy
Diwali,
Diwali.
happy Diwali. Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So, esteemed panel of guests and well-wishers, parents, participants, it's been really kind of you all staying in throughout the session, sharing in your thoughts, reflections over questions, and posting in with a lot of good questions coming our way. Thank you. And it's been a pleasure having you all in our session. So as we have a follow-up session with the students, I sincerely request you all to join us back again with another session coming forward and in a fortnight from now. I sincerely thank each one of you for being with us in the evening and making this session indeed special for all of us. Thank you to all the participants and well-wishers who have joined across the globe for us. Thank you, and I would request Murli sir to share a word or two for all the participants, well-wishers who have joined us today. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Bala, and indeed great. As I said, mentioned before, it was indeed a great Diwali gift for all of us. As Dr. George rightly mentioned, highly energy-packed performance, I would say. Most of us here are like, most of us, we are Toastmasters, and we are tuned to that mode of speaking. But this was totally inspiring and totally different. So we felt, it has a different ambience altogether. And I don't think we can ever forget this experience for a lifetime, probably. The way he took us, step by step, and then I think probably he used all those things as examples, personal examples and all. But only thing is that it came naturally. So whatever you are asking, he was able to connect with his life experience. And, coming from a person who has seen certain incidents which he explained, like, having that Sri Lankan incident and all, that all these things have gone through that. So that's what we always say, experience and exposure matters. So when that is there in your life, you don't need internet or something else to come and speak before people. And that's what we have seen today. And you, Bala, did a great job. And thank you all for joining us. Probably we wanted to take some more questions, but due to pressing actually wanted some of you more to come and speak in this occasion. But unfortunately, since he wanted to leave, but thankfully that, thanking him that he was with us for quite a lot of time and gracious enough to give us, take that many number of questions from all of us. So thank you once again to all of you for joining us in this session. And great job, Bala. Over to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Kotishwaran sir. Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Venkat sir. Thank you, Toastmaster and our own well-wisher Shyam sir, Ananta sir. And thank you, Ananta sir, for putting it out. It is Captain Raghuraman sir. Thank you, Toastmaster Mohammad Irshad. And the next gen is sitting there from India. Thank you, Mr. Nitin. Thank you, one of our mentor and guru, Kartika. Thank you, Yash. Thank you, Ramesh and Sarmira ma'am, and my brother, very own brother joining from India. Thank you, Balaji, for doing and connecting with us. And we can keep this thanking note forever and ever. So it's been a great day, great evening for us, and it's a pleasure. Thank you, Sundari ma'am, also being there graciously joining with us. Thank you, ma'am. So till the time we have. Thank you, sir.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you,
sir.
Congratulations and thank you for introducing us to him. It was wonderful.
session.
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much. Wonderful initiative.
It's our pleasure, Mr. Nitin. Thank you.
It was a wonderful program. It was a wonderful program. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Mohammed Sir. Thank you for that. So with that,
Thank you very much. All the best. You can continue with your theme. We will take a leave. That's a wonderful session. Maybe I need to give thanks separately. I don't know how to interfere in your another activities. So take care of. Thank you for the opportunity.
It's our pleasure, sir. Thank you. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for joining.
Thanks, Murli. Thanks.
Thank you for joining. Take care.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Happy Diwali to all of you.
Yes, that's most important. Shyam from India, Nitin Balaji, our own team. Even I saw Sadagopan, Banu ma'am, Venkat, DTM Venkat, Jaj sir, everybody. Take care.
Take care.
Be with your mentees. All the best, Bala. All the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. See you all.
Thank you all. Thank you all, gentlemen. Happy Diwali. Take care.
Happy Diwali. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. It was a very memorable moment for all of us.
It's our pleasure, ma'am. I think if you're a participant, I think you can hold back. For the participants, still there is a quick session there before we all wrap up. If for the participants, please hold on.
Okay.
I guess some of them left. I guess so. Anyway, the participants, if you are not bothered, you can just switch on your camera. If it is fine with you all. Hi, Krishnendu.
Good evening.
Hi, Kirtana. Helena, I think if it's fine, you can just unmute yourself. And you can unmute yourself. It's still fine. Like, even if there is an issue with the bandwidth or something like that with respect to the video, you can just keep your... Yes, ma'am. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Aisha, ma'am. Thank you. You can unmute yourself. Thank you, Helena. Thank you for unmuting yourself. Shamita, you can, based upon your convenience, you can either switch on your video or you can just unmute yourself, whichever way is fine with you. Thank you. I think some of them, they just, missed out, but I still feel like, we can still go with our regular proceedings with respect to. So before we move in, so we had 2 back-to-back sessions coming from energetic presenters. Last week it was from Mr. Sangameshwaran sir, and this week it is from the Lieutenant General Saab. So I guess some of our Mind Guru participants, I think they might have mistook the message that was also for them. They missed out. But anyway, so what was your reflections about the session? Whom to start with? I'll start with the one who's next to me in the grid, Krishnendu.
Okay,
how was
sir.
the session? Yes, Krishnendu.
It was good. Sir told many things about leadership, about relations, about many things actually. So I think I got to learn so much.
So Krishnendu, if I have to ask you one thing, have you ever thought about this kind of facets in life? Have you ever thought that this is what holistic learning, or have you ever thought like, one should keep in mind about so many aspects of life?
Actually, no, I never thought about so many things. I just thought about my life. This is school time only.
Excellent, Krishnendu. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Pleasure always, Krishnendu. You can stay tuned. So let me quickly go to Aisha. Ma'am, if you can just share in, like, what were your thought process before joining this whole session, or I can say Mind Guru, and what is your key learnings from the last couple of sessions. Aisha, if you can just share in your thoughts. Aisha, are you around? I think probably we can unmute all. It's only our... yeah, okay. Till that time, we are joined back by Aisha. So let me quickly switch to Shamita. So Shamita, what were your key takeaways if I have to ask you from the last couple of sessions and even from the beginning, starting from September and even before? What is your key learnings as far as the Mind Guru progress, or what is the learnings you are taking?
Hello, sir. Good evening, first of all.
Good evening,
and for
Shamita.
other students, a happy Children's Day and a happy Diwali too.
You very well put forward. Yeah, correct. Happy Children's Day to you too. Yes, Shamita.
Thank you. So the main thing which I learned was the whole summary was we should think out of the box and not within a certain place or something like that. Before going into my main topic, I will make a small note. Yesterday I was reading an article about a young girl. She stated in her article that her ambition, she would divide it into 3 parts.
Okay.
Passion, purpose, profession. She wanted 3 ambitions in life because she would learn more and gain more, and she would give more to the people. She told those 3 should be for my country, for myself, for the people who gave me birth. So when I heard that, it was something very different. I never thought of such things. So that day I decided to think everything in a different way, but not in a straight way. Yeah, as you said, like the first workshop, if I want to talk about, it was about the present day situation where we all have to implement the security of ourselves, not only in the physical way, also in the mental way, by keeping our laptops, mobiles, and all the gadgets securely. So that was a very wonderful session. Now, the today's session was extremely enlightening within myself because when we hear a person speaking very bold, we get fascinated. Like I'm a kid, so I can understand that feeling. I always get fascinated who speaks bold and encouraging. He came up with different ideas like the relationship is for life, not for moments. That was very touching moment for each and every student. I hope so. Then the way he took away that each and every student is rewarded. That is, every student should be prized, and that was really wonderful. Like for an example, in our school, there would be a competition. 30 students all would participate. We would get 3 prizes. The other students who made effort in that, they are gone. So I would like that to be implemented in our education system too. I wanted that our government should do that. These 2 personalities were very towering, and Vijita ma'am, Murli sir, and Bala sir, you did a great job as a host. I enjoyed this Mind Guru session to my fullest, and I'm sure that I'll learn more.
Excellent, excellent, Shamita.
Excellent,
in
thank you.
here also, I don't know about your regular curriculum, but in Mind Guru, as far as recognitions and rewards are concerned, you perform, you deliver, it will be rewarded for sure. I think with the founder in place, I can take the liberty of saying that pardon me, sir, for
Yes, of course, yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so, as you said, every single person deserves a prize.
Excellent, sir. Correct, indeed. So, Aisha, if you are back and with us, Aisha, I guess like you are joining us regularly in the other sessions, I believe. So, if so, what were your key takeaways, if I have to ask you, Aisha?
I think.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Yeah, please. Yeah, you can go ahead. Like, if you have joined us,
sir, I have joined this meeting for the first time.
Oh, okay. Fine. Thank you. Okay.
So are you a participant or a teacher?
I am a participant, sir. I am a student from MS Creative School.
Okay, good.
So how was your session, Aisha? Yes, she got muted again, I believe. Yeah, anyway, we can move in with Kirtana. So Kirtana, you have been traveling us from the beginning. So what were your key takeaways or learnings? If I have to ask you. So is there any one aspect which you think that you felt very close to you in today's session? Like, any one particular thing, like, which you felt like, yeah, I should be doing this.
I like the session.
Okay, great.
Great.
So good. That's all. See, you have to start with it. Like, feel free, feel comfortable. There is no need to be nervous. It's all your friends and mentors here. See, that is the whole process of it. Even if it is one simple thing, you liked it, that's it, period. I liked it. Excellent, Kirtana. Thanks for coming out with that. Thank you.
To all of you, if I may add a word, Bala.
Yes,
to all of you, see, this platform, we are all learning. Like, learning is a never-ending process. So we will learn throughout our life. Some people can come and speak well. Some people may have good thoughts, but they cannot speak well. Here, it's a very friendly atmosphere. There is no rights and no wrongs. Whatever you feel like, you come and speak. Okay. Even if you don't want to speak, you come and say, no, I don't want to speak anything now. Okay, so that's the kind of platform that we are creating. But it's always better that you have, you should have a say about anything and everything in life, and then just come and speak what you feel like. Like, as you said now, I like the session. Yeah, that's enough. And there is nothing right or nothing wrong. As Bala Uncle mentioned, we have prices for everything, but it's nothing that, you are speaking here to get some price. Prices will automatically follow when you deliver, when you come and deliver. So just whatever you feel like. It's about, the more and more you speak, the more and more you will have the courage to come and speak. We all have something about, when you spend 1 hour or 50 minutes hearing some great personalities like him, you will learn many things. It's only about, coming and speak. I liked it. Enough. That's more than enough. Okay, so this is a message for all. Whenever you are asked, just speak whatever you feel like. And you also say that, no, I don't want to speak, but at least tell that. Okay.
Excellent, sir. I think that is the right message. I think we should all be taking back home. This is a platform. This is not like a typical educational system where, like, if something is posed at you, you have to answer. You have all the rights to say, I can answer something else, but I'm not interested in that. Whichever way. The main thing is you have to just share what is going through your mind. So with that exact phrase of yours, Kirtana, I think you have started that note. Excellent start for that, Kirtana. So yeah. As the 2 hours and 15 mark have touched.
Actually, we had some other programs for the day, but now we have already touched 2 hours, 15 minutes. So I think we can,
so I think we
but
it for
his session was worth, listening. So I think we can, and we are not going to get him every day. So, but definitely we'll try to bring him again for all of you, our dear participants. So I think maybe we can,
we can adjourn this meeting for time being, if you permit, sir.
Yeah, we can adjourn. Actually, we had those, names and all those things, but then we need to have all our participants. I think some of them, they left thinking that the session is over. Anyway, let's see. So maybe we can plan it for the next Saturday. No, not next, the Saturday after that, 28th of November.
So I again. Sir, extremely sorry, sir. Like, I guess, like, that communication didn't get in well with the participants, I believe. So sorry for that.
No,
sir.
No issues.
So we'll try to.
Again, let me tell you also. There is no sorry, no apologies, anything here. Okay, we are all. This is, education happens in a fun-filled environment, and that's what we want to create. It's all about, as we, Lieutenant Generals have very clearly mentioned about training and education. Education happens through when you go through it. So it's all about creating a platform where you are open to speak. There could be plus and minus here and there, and that's all part of education.
Agree, sir. So with that note, I sincerely thank Shamita, Kirtana, and Krishnendu for sharing in your names selection for the participants with Mind Guru. Thank you for sharing in your thoughts. It was really nice to have those entries. Thank you once again. So I guess as we are striking the 6 hours and 45 minutes mark, which happens to be our Mind Guru slot for every fortnight. So till the time we fall back again, stay safe, Happy Diwali, happy Children's Day. Stay safe.
Yeah,
Take
happy
care.
Diwali, happy
Sir,
children.
Yes, Shamita. Yes, Shamita, you want to say something?
Yes, I have a doubt. Is there any modules available in MindGuru website for now, so that we can refer, or will you inform that when will it be updated?
Once it's there in the LMS system, it will be shared with you, Shamita, and it will happen soon.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and also, Shmita, like, we will be taking you through that modules, okay, and then we'll be bringing it one by one, because if you go through it, you may not exactly find what it is. So we'll take you through that, and parallelly, we'll be getting one by one, one after other in the system as well.
Yes, sir. Your closure
Yeah,
remarks.
no. Since we have done with that, happy Diwali and happy Children's Day to all of you.
Thank you,
You
sir.
all the
Thank
very
you.
best.
Same
And
to you,
take
sir.
care. Thank you. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you, sir.
See you all.
Take care. See you all.
In the next
Bye-bye.
meeting. Take care.
Yeah, Bala.
Yeah.